I'd say this is a sneaky big game between Tennessee and Florida, but Vol fans know to never underestimate the Gators, regardless of how good or bad either team is, because something weird always happens in this game, and something always makes it go away a lot of us aren't anticipating. But I do think this is Tennessee's chance to even the score at home, as they're 13-14 all time against the Gators. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass.
For us, we got to do the ordinary things at a really high level. Last week, we didn't do that very well.
Well, that pretty much says it all. Thanks for watching. No, against the Arkansas Razorbacks, it was obvious that they weren't really able to execute on the game plan that they have. They didn't play with the discipline that we're used to seeing from this Josh Heupel team. We do know that they are kind of one of the more heavily penalized teams in the league. 7 of them on offense were all pre-snap. 3 were false starts. So is that because they're on the road, they can't hear cadence, they can't hear when Nico claps? What is the root of that cause? The other times it's, are you recognizing the pressures the way you should? Dane Davis says, sometimes they could do a better job of that because Nico was sacked 4 times and he took 3 QB hurries. So he was really never comfortable in the pocket. He wasn't able to operate for very long and work that pocket so that he could get downfield to his receivers. But you think maybe because he is back home and you do have crowd noise on your side, you are able to have the cadence and the tempo that you want. Potentially, you look at how they do at home historically this season. They are about 2 touchdowns better while they're at home. But these last couple of games, Nico's completing on average about 60% of his passes. It's going for about 167 yards, which then creates this opportunity for them to have that heightened success that they have at home. Because you look at the Florida Gators, they have a decent pass defense. They're giving up 222 yards per game. Their best pass defenses has come in their last 2 games, so they are a team on the rise. But there's an opportunity for Nico to really connect with his wide receivers in this game, exploit where the Florida Gators are kind of weak, and it is in those explosive plays where a lot of those 222 yards come on explosive plays.
Yeah, he's a unicorn, man. This guy's 6'6", I don't know how much he weighs, but he's a big athletic. He's ripping balls in the outside third, 15, 20 yards deep. He's throwing it, all the vertical shots. He's got big-time arm. He's accurate. He can escape, extend. He's just a young player who's getting experience, and he'll continue to get better. But a lot of hype around him, and I think on the tape that's you can see why.
So regardless if Billy Napier calls Nico Imaliaba this unicorn, the big arm potential, Nico still has his work cut out for him going up against the Florida Gators DBs, a pair of them specifically, and Jason Marshall Jr. and Jordan Castell, both of them combined for 40 tackles and 7 PBUs. Marshall specifically, he's the 21st best corner in the FBS. So there's definitely something that Nico will have to try and work out when it comes down to those deep threat matchups. But it's also a chance for Nico to again gain that confidence, work through what could be a track meet, which Billy Napier doesn't want it to be, because while there is this heightened awareness of Tennessee's offensive production, really, especially through these first 2 games of SEC play, it's been Tennessee's defense that's really been pulling the rope.
This is not just an offensive football team. I think they're pretty good on defense, in my opinion. Personnel. And I think in the kicking game, their history there, they've had some success. So they're ranked, and they've been highly regarded in the preseason for a lot of reasons.
And maybe where Tennessee's offensive line question marks are is where Tennessee's defensive strengths are. It's really in the depth of talent that they have. You look at linebacker Arion Carter, who continues to make a name for himself, and rightfully so. We've talked so much about him since preseason, about how much dedication he's put into film, and it's really showing up, especially here the last couple of games in SEC play. He has 8 total tackles against Arkansas, 1.5 TFLs, and a PBU. A lot of that comes because he says he's being able to play at a higher and quicker speed, and that's allowed him to read and react at a much faster clip clip again because of his preparation. And even the running back Dylan Sampson says they might have taken their foot off the gas a little bit in that preparation. The defense says they've kept their foot on the gas pedal, and you see that in the way that the linebackers are able to produce, especially with Arion Carter. And he says for them to have success against Florida, who really does like a system with multiple quarterbacks, there are 2 quarterbacks in Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway, their ability to read and react at a fast clip and limiting those big plays will come down to them being able to communicate at a high level on defense.
Whenever you're going against a dual threat quarterback, a person who's able to move in the pocket and be able to create space with his, create time and extra time and space with his legs, and you got to be able to corral the guy and get him down on the ground while being able to have great pass coverage. Eyes is everything. Obviously, you got to know what your assignment is, who your man is, depending on zone of coverage, and you got to be able to go and play at the end of the day.
They're playing good at all 3 levels on defense. The front, the second level, they're tackling well in the open field. I think they're buttoned up on the back end. They got good personnel, so I think they're a tough, physical, gritty group.
Now, for the Florida Gators, a pair of their wide receivers that are, kind of responsible for those explosive plays comes from Elijah Badger and Chimere Dike, who averaged 20 and 18 yards per reception. But Tennessee's defensive back coach, Willie Martinez, says their ability to play lockdown defense, to limit those explosive plays, not only does it come from sustained effort, which he says sometimes they lacked when they took on Arkansas, but it also starts at the very root of their fundamentals, and it comes down to tackling. Tackling and clean tackling will be the key difference in limiting those explosive plays.
They cut some balls, obviously, in one-on-one situations. We didn't win the one-on-ones that we've been winning. And again, that just comes from playmaking. That comes from fundamentals and technique. Not to take anything away from, like you just said, Arkansas is a good football team. We want to be a dominant defense. We want to be elite defense. We want to keep the field position when we have the field position.
Now, I know we talked about Nico and the explosiveness going to the wide receivers, but the Florida Gators don't have the best rush defense, so this could be another game tailor-made for Dylan Sampson, as he has 12 touchdowns on the year, which is more than the entire run unit for the Florida Gators have on the season, which is 11 right now. So we could see him kind of go to the next level and really take this game over like he tried to and almost did in that third quarter against the Arkansas Razorbacks. But Jimmy and I will be back Sunday to do a post-game report on what we hope is a Tennessee win to even that score and be 14-14 at home against the Florida Gators and get that 4th win in the last 2 decades against the Gators as well. But we've got so much more content on our full disclosure homepage. Robert Peace, the VFL, had another sit down with Jimmy Himes. I had another breakdown for the Lady Ball basketball program, which there's a lot of excitement and buy-in we should be having for that team this upcoming season. But thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back on Sunday.